What's up? It's your boy Tarek Ali and I'm having a great day. I'm stretching because I just got off a flight, okay, and I'm a little tired, okay, but we're gonna do this video because I really wanted to talk about this, okay? I'm doing this video in partnership with HBO, okay? HBO came and emailed me, girl. Yes, HBO emailed me, says yes, I said that right. They texted me also. But yes, HBO emailed me about their new show Euphoria. You know, I was already watching it, girl. I was already watching Euphoria. It's a great show. If you haven't seen it, girl, you're living under a rock. But they asked me to come here and to talk about my experience with identity and how I came to terms with my identity, my process to finding my identity, and my experience. So no, this is not a video of me just throwing a billion compliments to Euphoria, okay, girl? This is me sharing my story and me actually talking about identity so that a lot of people can relate to that. And I'm actually hoping that a lot of young people will actually watch this video and, you know, relate to what I'm saying so that they can understand the process a little bit better, because I know I was completely confused trying to understand where my identity was going, and it got really dangerous sometimes because when you don't know who you are, you get really sad and you do crazy things when you're sad. So in this video, we're really going to get into that, and we're going to connect it to some of the things in Euphoria. And we're going to talk about identity, girl, and why I thought I was trans. Yeah, girl, I did. For a while. Well, yeah, for a while. But we're going to get into that, okay? So right after this title card, we're going to get right into it. And yeah, let it run, girl, let it run. As you watch this video, remember that I speak to only start the conversation, not to be right. Okay, that was a silent moment for my tabies. Y'all know, girl, I don't come here to be right. I don't need to be right. I just need to be here to start a conversation. Identity is a huge part of everyone's life. Okay, it's literally you trying to figure out who you are. You know, when somebody says, who are you? What matters to you? It's like you being able to answer that question. It's a lot to ask of a person because a lot of times we are doing what we're told we should be doing. Whether it's paying our taxes or going to church or going to school, girl. Nobody asked to do all of these things. A lot of things in our lives were really given to us and we just adapted to what we were supposed to be doing. So a lot of times in that process, people don't take the time to figure out who they are. They just know what they're supposed to be doing. And so when it comes to finding your identity, it's 100 times harder for people who are queer. And being queer, when I say queer, I use that as an umbrella term whenever I use it to include sexuality and gender identity. Growing up, it's so much harder for queer kids to really find their identity. And I think that's why growing up, a lot of times I actually did think I was trans. I mean, when I was little, I didn't say, oh, I think I'm trans. Like, I didn't even know what that was. But as an adult looking back, I thought I was trans. When I was little, I thought I wanted to be a girl. You see, the difference in finding your identity when you're straight versus queer is like when you're straight, you can look all around you to see what you want to be or how you want to be or who you want to be like. Like, you know, you have figures on TV. Literally everybody on TV growing up was straight when I was growing up. My parents are straight. My siblings were straight. It's just like, you know, well, not now. I mean, a lot of my siblings are queer now, but just like me. But, you know, it's just like everywhere you look, for us queer people, we don't have anywhere to look. The representation is not there. And when it comes to identity, just think about even identity outside of human beings. If you think about identity with an orange, if you look at the fruit, an orange, you look at it and you see it and you know that's an orange from all of the representation it's had, from the way you've seen it in magazines, the way you've seen it in the market or the grocery store. You've seen this object so many times that you can identify it and you know that that's an orange. If you were given a fruit from Brazil that you've never seen, you don't know how to identify that because you've never had any representation or knowledge of it. So imagine if you're growing up and you are something that is nothing like anything around you. So I'm a boy and I like other boys and I don't see that anywhere else in my life. So now I'm having an identity crisis because I don't know what that is. I don't know what this means, that I want my nails painted, or I feel like I'll be more comfortable with boobs like the girl around me, or things like that. If you don't have any representation, you don't know how to identify that. So people have identity crisis and they're looking and searching for the identity. And so growing up for me, from like way young, I would like put on my sister's heels. I would put on my mom's bras when she wasn't looking. Like, I would literally invade her privacy, honestly. Go in her room, go in the drawers, and, like, just play with her bras. If my little sister did it, it was cute, it was fun. Like, they're like, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. But if I did it, it's like, it's wrong. So I knew that I had to do this in my privacy. There were some things I did before I knew they were wrong, like playing in my sister's shoes and her heels. It was like, they would be like, don't do that, you're a boy. They wouldn't let me do it. Or like walk with my hand on my hips, like, you know how little girls would do that? They would tell me not to do that. I would roll my eyes. Excuse me, girl. I would roll my eyes all the time. Like, I used to roll my eyes every single day. And my dad, I love him dearly, but my dad back in the day used to hit me upside the head and say, Tariq, don't roll your eyes, that's for girls. Like, it's just a lot of things growing up that I felt like it was always for girls. That's for girls. That's not for you. And so to myself, I'm thinking like, okay, I like everything girls like. And I like the way they look. And, you know, does that mean I want to be a girl? And you know, people would even tell me that, like my peers growing up, like, oh, you want to be a girl, blah, 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 blah. There was this one time where my family, like me and my mom and my siblings, we had like this little fashion show. But we were all about having fun. My mom was always about having fun and just laughing. So what we did was, me and my brothers, okay, I didn't tell y'all this. Hopefully they don't watch this video. Because this is something we carried to the grave. But it was like, we had these fashion shows where we would dress up in our sister's clothing and like go in the living room and just do like a walkway, and like we would have like a bra stuffed and like the skirts on. It was just like something it was just fun. It was just fun. But the thing is, my brothers, when we did it, right after, like when everybody's like done laughing and everything, they would take it off and be like, okay, I would like go in the bathroom or sneak in the bedroom to keep it on. Like, and they used to be like, alright, Tariq. My sister would be like, alright, Tariq, I need my shirt back. And I just felt comfortable. Like, comfortable with my sister's bra filled up. Like, I used to like look in the mirror. Like, I just loved it. And to me, at the time, it just was like, I just loved this. It was just like something I liked. So, as an older person, looking back, or say if that was my child, I would be like, maybe they are trans. But the thing is, I started exploring that a little bit more, like, when I was little, okay? Because after those experiences, I started putting on my sister's makeup when she wasn't looking. I would literally paint my nails and take it off, like, immediately after. Like, if somebody was coming, I would just paint them to look at them, because I was like, this is what girls do, and I like it. You know, like, it was a lot of people in my house growing up, and all of the boys would go dirt bike riding and play sports. Like, I played football, I played basketball, my dad put me in all these things. And the girls would go shopping, get their nails done, get their hair done. I wanted to be pampered. I didn't want to go outside, ride around in dirt bikes, four-wheelers and all that. We used to do all of that. I want to go to the mall. I want new shoes, I want new clothes. I'm mad that every time we come home dirty, and the girls come home with new shoes. What? That don't make sense. They got 20 times more shoes than me. I don't even care if that was a feminine, masculine thing, girl. I want more shoes. I don't care. But it was like things like that. Like, I always felt like I could identify more with the girls. And I remember telling one of my family members this, like, recently as an adult. I was like, you know, growing up, I always identified more with girls than I did with men. And they were like so confused, but they kind of didn't say anything because they didn't want to like say something to offend me, but they were like, that doesn't make sense. And it won't make sense to them because they're not queer, but a lot of things that I liked, the color pink, shopping, I like playing with the dolls, with the hair, you know those heads that stop right here with the hair, girl, I used to braid them, girl. My sisters would get dolls for Christmas, I would get like action figures. I wanted to play with their dolls, I wanted to play with the Barbie house, I loved colorful things. It was like I loved the more feminine things that were deemed for girls. And so I used to think that I wanted to be a girl because I liked everything that had to do with girls. But the moment that I realized that this wasn't me being trans is I started to do these things like put on the bra or like put on makeup and things, but it didn't make me feel fuller. How about this? When I didn't put those things on, I didn't feel empty. Like, when I was still a boy, like, when I wasn't wearing a bra, when I had the makeup on, or if I wasn't wearing a skirt, if I was wearing jeans, like, if I was wearing this, and, you know, like, things that they dressed me as a boy, I didn't feel incomplete. I felt great. It's just that I wanted to do some of those things. If I wanted to use this pink color, if I wanted to use Chun-Li playing Street Fighter, I wanted to use Chun-Li. If I wanted to do this feminine thing and that feminine thing, I just wanted to do that. I started to realize, well, not at a younger age, I subconsciously realized that I didn't want to be a girl. I just wanted to be allowed to do feminine things. I didn't want to be hyper masculine. I feel like we are raised, especially being a African American black boy, we were raised to be hyper masculine. Don't cry, okay? Crying is for girls. You're a man. Be a man. You know, and I didn't want to be those things. I am not those things, okay? Girl, I'm emotional. Girl, I will cry. Girl, and if you want to deem that a feminine thing, which I don't think is right because we're all human, we're all able to cry, just like we're all able to shit. And so it's just like, I don't feel like that is something that is exclusive to women. That is not something that is exclusive to femininity. These are things that we should all be allowed to, but in hyper masculinity and in toxic and fragile masculinity, you aren't allowed to do a lot of these things. So I started to realize that I felt great being a man. I felt great being myself. I didn't feel uncomfortable in my body. I loved myself. I loved how I looked. I loved my fingers. I loved my hands. And it's like, I just loved everything about me. It's just that I wanted to be allowed to do these other things, to explore those feminine qualities that I had, those feminine tendencies that I had, those feminine attractions that I had. Like, allow me to do that. I think it's because we're not allowed any medium. There's no in the middle, okay? There's always, you're either masculine or feminine. And people like to normalize that too. You're either a boy or a girl. But a girl can be masculine or feminine. A boy can be masculine or feminine. And then another problem is we start adding sexuality onto that. Because if a girl is masculine, she's into other girls. If a boy is feminine, he's into other boys. Gender identity and expression is not the same as sexuality and what you're attracted to and what gets you hot. And that's something that a lot of people have trouble wrapping their heads around. They probably will never wrap it around their head in their entire life. They want to associate things with sexuality that has nothing to do with it. But I think when we don't allow ourselves these mediums, or a spectrum I like to call it, I believe that masculinity and femininity is a spectrum. I don't believe that any one person is literally on one complete side. Okay, you might be to the public, girl, but there's a lot of things you're suppressing or you've learned to ignore. Like, you may like the color pink. Like, it's just like a lot of things. Like, girl, come on. Come on. If nobody ever told you that you couldn't like the color pink as a man, or if it was deemed to women, if you've never seen women embrace that color so much, you would have probably loved pink. But it's social conditioning that's brought you to that. So that's what I'm saying. I think that, if we allow ourselves a medium or a spectrum of saying, like, you're not on this side or this side, you're just somewhere inside of that, things would be much better. And that's why I think it's so important that you have to let your kids and kids in general experiment this. That you have to let them explore. Okay, if it's a 3-year-old playing with dolls, that doesn't automatically mean that he'll be gay. He may play with dolls and not like it. I had to play with action figures to realize I never wanted action figures, girl. Don't give me that. Okay, and I had to play football to realize that, girl, this just ain't for me. I was good in it, but I just don't want to do it. You have to allow these kids to explore it. This is not a sexuality search. This is an identity search, okay? Because at these young ages, sexuality is not even a factor. Girl, we don't even have hormones to be figuring out all of that. At those young ages, people are just trying to figure out what they like, what color they like, what do they want to wear, what do they feel the most comfortable wearing. You know your kids be kicking off them skirts when you putting them on them, girl. Like, come on. This is just kids figuring out who they are. They see all of these figures in their life. We see all of these figures. We see all these people on TV, and we trying to figure out, I like that. Or I like that. I want to be like that. I want to be like him. I want to be like that. That's why people gravitate towards careers or people on television, how they have idols or whatever. It's an identity search. Like, people just like to see things that they like so that they can apply that to their life. That's what it is at these early stages, is people just trying to figure out who they are. And then when you don't allow people to do that, when you don't allow kids or anyone to, explore these different things to find their identity, or if that person is trying to find their identity and they can't find it themselves, that's when self-harm comes in, because hurt comes in. Because that's a lot of sadness, that's a lot of pain to endure, not knowing who you are. Or knowing who you are inside, but not being able to be that because you're not allowed to. It becomes depressing. And when you have all of these feelings inside, you try to suppress those feelings. And you can suppress it in many different ways. As you can see in the show Euphoria, like, a lot of different characters are doing a lot of different things. That's what high school is about. You got all of these people really just trying to figure out who they are. Trying to figure out what they want to do in their life. And I feel like in high schools, people are trying to like find their identity, and if they are not allowed to be themselves, or if they can't find it, they're going to self-harm or try to do something to cope for the feelings that they feel inside because they can't find their identity. Like, identity is a huge part of us. Like, I don't think a lot of people understand. Knowing who you are and being comfortable with who you are and your confidence, like, that literally will change your life. Like, it literally changed my life. Finding confidence in my queerness allowed me to find confidence everywhere else in my life. It was my first roadblock for me. Okay, like, finding confidence in my queerness really helped me find confidence in my blackness more, and my confidence of my body more. It was my first roadblock, but everybody has different roadblocks. And then people are always trying to like project their identities onto you, like especially parents. Oh, especially parents. They want you to agree with everything they think. They want you to have the same morals. They want you to have the same belief. They want you to have the same values. They want you to have everything like them. But sorry to break it to you, you will not, because we all have different DNA. Okay, we all have different DNA, and we all have different identities. We may be identified the same. Like, me and you may be both black, or we may both be queer, but we may express that differently because we went through different experiences and processes, and we have different likings in our identities. So it's we all will express it differently and explain it differently and identify with those identities differently. And that's why I really like Euphoria, like on a real note, I was watching Euphoria before even HBO asked me to do this video. The reason I really like Euphoria is because you just see all of these characters trying to figure out their identity. And it really highlights how a lot of people don't know their identity early on. Like, and some people find their identity in 9th grade, some people find it in 6th grade, some people find it in college. Like, we all have different times and experiences and journeys, but you can see in the show how different people deal with not knowing who they are or not knowing how they feel. This show is really just about high schoolers trying to figure out who they are and like going through life with that. And you can see in the show a lot of people do a lot of projecting onto other people, their identities onto other people, their problems onto other people, and you can see how that's dangerous. But it's a real representation of like how people deal with trying to find their identity in high school, and I really love that because it's honest, it's real. And a lot of times that you see this happen on television, like, yeah, you might see a lot of teenagers trying to find their identity on television, but it's so fake. Like, it's not what happens in real life. Like, and I feel like on Euphoria, it's really the truth of like what you see in these high schools these days. Like, this is really what be going on. It's just, I relate to that show on another level. To some of the characters, and even if you don't identify with that person, you know someone like that person, and that's really what I love about the show. But yes, that is how I thought I was trans when I was little. You know, it took me, like, I really was so feminine when I was little. Like, it's crazy. The older I get, the more masculine I get. It's weird, but like when I was little, I was femme. I was so femme. Like, girl, hand on the hip, girl, rolling my eyes, girl. I was calling LL Cool J cute in music videos, and my sister was like, no. Like, it was just so funny. The crazy thing is, I was just being myself, and in the moment, I didn't hate myself. I loved myself, but everyone around me had a problem with me. So I felt like something had to be wrong with me, and so I started hating myself. But over time, I started realizing that none of us are the same. So like, really, what you think about who I am doesn't really matter. Your opinions matter for you, not for me. Who I am, you can't even explain who I am. I get to tell you who I am. And so that's, the older I got, the more comfortable I got with my identity and my queerness, my blackness and everything, because I was just like, girl, this is me. Period. Like, it's not gonna change. It's not. It's not. So I encourage everybody watching this video, please take the time to figure out what you like. Okay, what are the things that you like that people aren't allowing you or haven't allowed you to like? Try liking it. It may be hard because you condition yourself a certain way, but just explore your identity. Okay, when it comes to your expression, maybe you want to wear more masculine clothing, more feminine clothing, anything. Just express yourself in different ways you've never tried and see how that makes you feel. Thank you so much to HBO for sponsoring this video. Please make sure y'all check out Euphoria on HBO. They didn't ask me to say that. I'm just saying that because I love the show. And then I might do another video about Euphoria. You never know. You know, because I really do love the show and I really want to get into the conversation. So yes, have a great day. Girl. I'm sorry if y'all heard me perching over this video, girl. My throat.
I'll see y'all on the next video. Thank you for HBO for sponsoring this video.